So, good afternoon, everybody. This is Marie Fertoni. I'm CEO of Get Clients Everywhere at getclientseverywhere.com. And I am here with my dear friend, Sherri Danzig, the CEO of Choosing Vibrancy is her business. And Sherri is one of the esteemed authors that is in volume 2 of Inspiring Women Living Unstoppable Lives of Purpose, Power, and Passion. And I'm doing these thumbnail interviews so that we can get the good word about their life and their chapters about being unstoppable as a way of inspiring other people, both men
hmm
and women, to say,
hmm
don't stop wherever you are. Don't allow circumstances to stop us. And I think we've got a lot of great stories in the book about that. So,
Yeah.
Sherri, welcome. Thank you for being part of this project. I was really happy to have you in this book.
Thank you, Marie. It's always a pleasure to connect with you. And I love the word unstoppable. I'm so happy that that became a part of this title. I really resonate with that word, and I really believe that it's that we do have that power within us to make up our minds that we're going to be unstoppable, that we're not going to allow the old stuff, the old stories to shackle us to where we've been.
Yeah, shackling is good because I mean, all of us have those, all of us have shackles, you know,
Absolutely.
and we can let the shackles either run us and have power with us, or we can just say they're just the shackles and I'm moving forward. You
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah.
that I think I've really enjoyed reading
Yeah.
everybody's stories. To refresh people's information here with those that are listening and watching, the chapter that Sherri wrote in this book um, is entitled A Funny Thing Happened to Me on the Way to My Self-Discovery. I think many of us could relate to that too, because we're not planning to self-discover, right?
Yeah.
It's like I'm not going to go out the door today and say, today I'm going to self-discover. But
Let's
things
make memories that will change my life.
and then we take a look back sometimes when we are maybe at that roadblock or I don't know what you want to call it, but you look back and you think, oh, that got sourced somewhere else, you
Yeah.
know? So can you share a little bit about your story or some of the things that had you become unstoppable, that have you be the amazing entrepreneur, very successful entrepreneur that you are today?
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah. When I sat down to write this story, I have to say I didn't know exactly what part of it of my life I was going to bring in. And I write from a place that is my truth, as much as I can, as much as I understand it to be. And I have worked on myself in this self-discovery process for a while. And I don't think I'm done. I'm not sure that we're ever done. I'm not sure that I'm ever going to be done. At least I'll say that. I feel like, the whole um, analogy of peeling an onion back is, I think, very true here. So I share in this in about how I've been one of these women, these people that have learned to and working with particularly one coach and some other mentors and creating some mastermind groups and lots of support communities has been how that's really what is the wind beneath my sails of whatever success I've had has been so much of that because I am so not the person today that I was, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I remember being somebody that was so afraid I was going to say the wrong thing in the company of others that I was in a sales position in food sales, and somebody would walk in because we were in a trailer, the annex, and if somebody walked in, I would hang up the phone in the middle of the conversation. I'd have to make something up to explain to that person why I'd hung up, but I was that nervous to talk to other people, and I used to be knee knocking, and so it's that sense of being really fine, really good at not being perfect has been a journey, right? So, and I talk a lot about it in the book and that to say, like, where am I? And I really thought about this when I was writing. Where am I right now? What is going on with me right now? What am I struggling with? What have I figured out? And what am I struggling with still? And, I figured out a lot of things, like I'm saying, about being really okay, laughing at myself at the things that I am aware of that are not my, most polished parts of me. I love the adage of being perfectly imperfect.
Yeah.
In fact, I just was on a podcast about The Art of Imperfect Adulting, which I love that title. I think that's perfect. That really is perfect for me. Um, and I talk about where I have been in a bit of the story behind the fact that I have struggled with emotional eating for most of my life, and as I said, I, was restaurant business, um, food business. So I've had some aspect. At one point, I was saying, food was my life. It was my hobby. It was my job. It was my passion. It was my skills, whatever, so. And there's some stuff attached to it. And I took the leap, even though I have been talking about the sexual abuse in my past, um, comfortably because I've done a lot of that work. It was the first time it got put in print. So I have felt a little, I've had a little moments of like, I've put it out there. Um, some of the players in the story or the family could somehow pick up the book, and I haven't had a conversation with them. So it's a vulnerable part of myself, and it felt important to say because I do think I can't say that all of that is attached to my food addiction or my food, emotional eating, and I think there's some very definite anchors to that experience.
Yeah, and anchor is a good word because, I mean, and obviously there's lots of research out there that would support that. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm Italian. And so, when I mean, talk about emotional eating. We eat when we're happy. We eat when we're sad. We eat at a baptism. We eat at a funeral. We eat at a wedding. We eat at whatever. Any events I run, they always have food in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I understand. And one of my favorite things to do is to go to lunch or dinner with friends.
Yeah.
So, but and if we look back, if I look back in my life, I can see where that's rooted in my early ages,
Hmm. Hmm.
But it's like then it becomes like, how do I use this? Or you looked at it and said, what do I want to write about? What would make a difference? What it made a difference for you.
Yeah.
And then you look at all the things that you get to do now as a wellness expert. And we made a fun name for you a while back. It was like the diva of
Oh,
what?
vibrancy. Well, I'd like to now I'm starting to introduce myself as a master of vibrancy.
Yes, I love that.
So,
And that's what you are because, anytime you're with you, it's always about the water and the sleep and the pain things. And I mean, everything that's about really living a great life and
yeah.
taking care of the things that are not working in our life. And we're always
Sure.
working at something that's there, myself included.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but you talk about in the book where, I think you ended at the end of your book where you say something about it. It's all about the story that you make up or choosing something to go forward because we, even though our stories are things that have happened to us or all the incidents that have happened to us, we can choose a different story. We can make up a belief. We can look
Hmm.
at how our beliefs, what we think about, you know, has us live into that particular story and that scenario. And
Yeah.
that can be changed. I mean, it takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight, but
Right.
with the work that you do, it's great. I mean, you've
Yeah.
been a
Yeah.
massage therapist, just so you know who Sherri is. She's been a massage therapist. I have enjoyed one of her massages. She has been a doula and she just helped her daughter
Have
give
a
birth to their
baby.
grandson. I mean,
Yes.
she's amazing. I mean, health is all around her. So it would be almost funny if you didn't have any kind of health issue to work with, because as we've learned in life and business, most people go into business to make their mess their message.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point.
you know,
Yeah, I mean, it's been most of my wellness career has been focused on the physical aspects. Like you said, I've been a massage therapist for over 36 years ago this month. I
wow.
started massage school. So that's a big chunk of my life. And then when I started working with the Niken technologies, it was I was so aligned with it because it was about empowering people to have products and technologies that would kind of mimic massage, that would mimic a sense of well-being. So all of these are harnessing nature. And so it helped me, you first have to see it's going to work for yourself. And I had a really bad back after, I don't blame my twins, but it started when I was pregnant with my twins. Um, so, I was struggling, which is not a good thing to be struggling with a bad back when you're a massage therapist. So the products I've been with that company now for 28 years I'm in my 28th year with these fabulous technologies. And so all of that's been this physical aspect. And more recently, I've been, really focusing on the mindset part because we can't separate mind and body. They're one affects the other very much so. And, what you were saying about the way I ended my chapter about making up your own story. I use that all the time, and particularly right now because I'm in the middle of challenging myself to continue on this. It's like, how do we as a woman that have been around for decades, take the diet out of our way of being and find that healthy relationship with food that doesn't feel punishing and crazy and all of that. And I'm sure there's women out there that have never dealt with that, but I think the majority of us have at some level. We think we need to be thinner to be happier or better or something.
Very
So
ancestral
it
and
really is
hardwired.
that, I do some mirror talk where I look at myself in the mirror. I did this just yesterday and talk to myself about, and it's about changing the story, because it's very easy to just go screw it and fall back into that, but it's that old way of how we think. And so that's been a big part of my process, and it continues to be. And it's an imperfect, bumpy path at times. And I really and I think it's a path that you will, when you commit to it, will continue to really grow. So I love being able to help women in that aspect as well.
I love what you said too. It's an imperfect, bumpy path. I mean, that's the name of a good article right there,
Yeah,
because we've all been on an imperfect, bumpy path,
bumpy path. Yeah.
for sure. But and so going back to that, you kind of went through different stages in your life, about working in the deli with your family because they owned a deli, and then you went and became a massage therapist, and now into this and all the things that have happened to you. You had some setbacks, you had some speed bumps that were there. How do you think you got through the speed bumps, and what did you do to keep moving and to be unstoppable? Because some of the things that happen to us are just like take
Yeah.
me out.
Yeah.
Any
I
last
think
words?
going back to what I said, I think it has been a willingness to wish for more, to desire more, a wish for creating a loving, supportive community. Um, which it's an inside job. It has to start with feeling like, uh, you're deserving. So I feel like that piece of it of feeling like I am deserving of this, and finding the well, it's about finding the forgiveness also. And I think it's forgiveness is forgiving ourselves first and foremost, and then forgiving. I mean, I had to forgive the person that abused me. Um, and that's not necessarily always an easy thing to do. And yet,
To
if
get free in the
without
process.
forgiveness, you stay stuck.
Right.
You stay mad. You stay entrenched in this feeling like you were a victim. And there's no power in being a victim. None at
No.
all.
That's very good. And I think that's a great message for people that are listening. There's no power in being a victim. I mean, there is, but it's not the kind of power that we would
Mm,
necessarily want that's
yeah.
going to propel us forward.
Yeah.
But the forgiveness piece is, I think, really very good because, many of the stories, people were stopped or they tried to like push through and force through. And then
Hmm.
once they just got that they could just be with what is,
Hmm. Yeah.
and um, just keep taking the next action, keeping the next action. I always say, once you say yes and walk through that door, we always don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the door, but that willingness to um, have the courage to keep walking. And it makes me so sad to see people who are, I would say, beholding to somebody else for their livelihood and
Yeah.
then have that completely whisked away. Why people Some people just like get on the floor and that's the end of it. And some people pick themselves up and say, well, how can I make this better? What can I do? Who can I
Hmm.
connect with?
Yeah.
And, people who are on this interview know that I work as a business coach for predominantly women. And it's like, I want women to be able to drive their own bus and to
Hmm.
be able to do that. Why is that important to me? Because I had to learn how to drive my own bus.
Sure.
I don't have any other resources other than me.
Yeah.
and the great colleagues and collaborations that I do with
Hmm.
other people.
Hmm.
And there were times when I just wanted to say, I'm just gonna like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
It was hard. And
Yeah.
so I also had to go inside and forgive myself and
Hmm.
forgive all the other people out there that from a workplace and environment or whatever,
Yeah.
maybe did not do some good things. There's things happening now that they're not doing good things to people.
Right.
So, I think the whole story, I think our book, I didn't plan it this way, and we never know when the publisher is going to actually publish the book. We have a
Yeah.
timeline, but I think it's so appropriate now that the whole story of being unstoppable, and if we can keep driving people to say, this is what, given my life circumstances, this is what happened to me, and this is what I'm doing now. I mean, it's a great transformation story for every
Yeah.
single person that's in
Yeah.
that book.
Yeah.
And I
I,
think the world could really benefit by it right now.
yeah. I agree so much. And I think there's so much we can focus on every day that's negative, that's scary, that's really hard, and that is out of our control. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world that it just is. And so I think to find that community of people that you feel lifted up and supported, and your community, Marie, has definitely been that. I mean, you are so admired and revered in your community. I've seen it. I've sat in rooms and seen that because of this legacy of what you stand for and have for many decades for women.
Thank you.
So I've benefited greatly from being in your community that you created that I got to be a part of. And I think there's women can use a lot of that. And it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be many things, many different ways that we get our cup or remind ourselves to keep our cup filled.
We
Right. And
have to.
so I think when it comes down to it, and I think about, what is the driving force that keeps me going when I could have felt, and we all can relate to this. Like, where do you make that decision to be unstoppable? It's that you have to have a vision that is so goosebump worthy, exciting, of hope and possibilities, and
Mhm.
keep it in front of you because there's that story, and I can't remember all of it, and we probably all heard it about the story about which wolf, the angry wolf or the loving wolf or whatever that is, who's going to win, the one you feed, right? So that's so true. That lives within us. And we have the story of feeling not enough and feeling beaten down and feeling, a victim and just all of that. And we have the story of when we have really shined and been in this joyful, wonderful place. And we have to make that decision every day of how can we that we pay attention more to that place that of our greatness, our best sides of ourselves, and keep moving towards that.
Yeah, it's really great. If people wanted to find you, what is the best way for people to reach you?
Well, everything is about choosing vibrancy. So I'm on YouTube under Choosing Vibrancy. I have a website that's Choosing Vibrancy. I have a public Facebook group that's Choosing Vibrancy. Instagram, I don't spend a lot of time these days on Instagram, but I'm on there under Choosing Vibrancy. So that, or my name, Sherri at sherridanzig.com is my email address. So any of those ways, I would certainly welcome anyone that would love to have a conversation. You can just reach out to me and I can send you a calendar link and we can, sync up our calendars and have a chat.
That's great. Can you say a little bit about the kinds of people that you'd like to meet or that you'd like to be introduced to?
Sure, that's awesome. Um, I love talking to, in particular, it's mostly women. Not that I don't talk to men, and love men, but mostly women who are, looking for, they want to feel vibrant. Maybe they, looked at a time when they remembered when they had lots of energy and felt good and felt like they could take on the world in terms of being the athlete they wanted to be, and have kind of lost that. And that can happen as women get into premenopausal and into menopausal and all of that, to kind of,
Postmenopausal.
yeah, forget them, have lost sight of all of that. So women that are feeling that struggle, that's a good person. I work with people on sleep solutions, some that most are very practical things that you can do. And we talk about, really my offering is about creating a wellness safe haven type environment for yourself. And so there's different technologies that I work with. I've had 36 years at this point now in the world of wellness. So I have lots of resources and tools. So anybody that's looking for a natural solution to what aches and discomforts and or frustrations with, don't want to age in a way that they've been aging. So my oldest daughter is about to have her big wedding, and I've been working out. I had shoulder surgery, a shoulder replacement surgery a couple of months ago, and I'm going to be out on that dance floor, leading the pack. I want that level of vibrancy at 66.
That
More than I had even in my late 30s because I
great
was I was
image.
hurting in my late 30s,
Mm.
So
It's a great image. I love that, Yeah, I know what you mean. So, for our listeners and for those that are viewing this, I want to again remind you that if you'd like to read Sherri's chapter in our book, it's called A Funny Thing Happened to Me on the Way to My Self-Discovery. And the name of our book is Inspiring Women Living Unstoppable Lives of Purpose, Power, and Passion. It's our second issue of this book, our second volume, I guess, of this
second
book.
volume.
A little bit of a different twist on it, but it's still all about inspiring women because it's amazing how many really amazing women are out there that are living to inspire others and living to make a difference for others. And we just need to tap into it. You know, you and I are in communities where we do that all automatically, but there's so
Right.
many communities out there that they don't even know these resources like ours even exist. And that's where we want to go. We want to,
Yeah.
really tap into those people. I've been saying on this, the one of the things that I want to do in my life where I want to be unstoppable is find the people that are stopped now that have lost their jobs, that for no reason for anything else other than somebody said, pack your desk up and go. And they're beholden to somebody else. And I really want to be with them and encourage them to dip their toe into the wonderful world of entrepreneurship. You have a business to share. I have a business to share. Um, it's so easy today to do a business. It doesn't have to be multi-million dollars, but you will always be able to put food on the table. You'll be always be able to take care of your family.
I
And a
love
lot
that.
of people just really don't know that. And
Hmm.
those are the people that I want to make a difference for. And people that are just leaving in droves, like in corporate America,
Yeah.
saying, what am I going to do? So this is a story I think that can really make a difference, and we encourage people. If you'd like to get a copy of the book, right now it's available on Amazon. It has a Kindle version as well as a softcover book. It's also on Barnes and Noble and on their website, and you can get that. And if you'd like to reach out to Sherri and get a book from her, you can reach out to her through her website, choosingvibrancy.com, and she'll be able to take care of you there. So, Sherri, thanks for being with us. Thank you for being part of this project. I can't wait till we have our book launch and we really celebrate and have a lot of fun with all of that. And continued success, my friend.
Thank you, dear. So fun. Always fun to hang out with you.
You bet. We need to do that again.
I
All
know.
right.